Hey everyone, and welcome. We've all heard that word, right? Photosynthesis. We learned it in school. But what's it really all about? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers on what is probably the most important chemical reaction on Earth. We're going to break it down into a simple, solar-powered recipe. It all really starts with a pretty simple question. I mean, you and I, we eat, animals eat, but have you ever actually seen a plant take a bite of anything? So how do they get their food? How do they stay alive? That's the core problem that photosynthesis solves so brilliantly. So before we dive straight into how plants do their thing, we need a little bit of context on what it even means to be alive in the first place. Because, whether you're a giant redwood tree or you're a person listening to this, you've got to perform certain core functions just to stay in the game. And this whole group of functions has a name, of course. Scientists call them life processes. They're basically the non-negotiable, essential jobs that every living thing has to do. You can kind of think of them as the universal operating system for life itself. This covers the whole shebang, from breathing and growing to, getting rid of waste. They're all absolutely crucial. But for our story today, we're going to zoom in on the big one, the one that really powers all the others, nutrition. It all comes down to that fundamental question: how does life get its fuel? And when it comes to nutrition, life here on Earth has kind of split into two major teams. You're either a maker or you're a taker. It's really the difference between being the chef in the kitchen and being the customer at the table. So on one side, you've got the autotrophs. Auto means self, so these are the self-feeders, the makers. They literally create their own food from scratch using simple ingredients. Then on the other side, you have the heterotrophs. Hetero means other. These are the takers. They get their food by eating other living things. And yep, that's us. We humans and all other animals, we're firmly on team taker. But today, it's all about the incredible makers. So how in the world do these makers pull this off? Well, they use this absolutely incredible process, a kind of solar-powered cooking that we call photosynthesis. Now, the name itself sounds kind of complicated, right? But it's actually super simple when you break it down. Photo just means light, and synthesis means to make something. So photosynthesis is literally just making with light. That's it. So here's the basic recipe. A plant takes in two simple things: carbon dioxide from the air and water from the soil. It powers the whole operation using sunlight, and it captures that sunlight with a special green molecule called chlorophyll, which acts just like a tiny solar panel. And what comes out at the end? Two things: glucose, which is a sugar, that's the plant's food, and as a very, very important bonus for us, it kicks out oxygen. Let me put that another way, because this is where the real magic is. Photosynthesis takes simple, non-living, inorganic stuff. We're talking carbon dioxide and water, and it transforms them into a complex, energy-packed organic substance, glucose. Think about that. It is literally turning air and water into food. It's the bridge that connects the non-living world to the living one. Okay, so we know what photosynthesis is, but where does this incredible reaction actually go down? Well, for that, we need to zoom in, way, way in, deep inside the plant's little green factory. So the main action is happening in the leaf. But if you zoom into the cells of that leaf, you'll find these tiny little green factories called chloroplasts. And inside those factories is the secret sauce, that green pigment chlorophyll. That's the stuff that actually grabs the sunlight. And inside each one of these chloroplast factories, you've basically got two key areas: a fluid-filled space and these stacks of tiny little green discs. And these two spots are really important because they're where the different stages of our solar recipe are going to happen. All right, we've got the ingredients, we know the location. Now let's look at the actual cooking process. It sounds really complex, but the entire amazing reaction of photosynthesis really just boils down to three main events. First up, capture. The chlorophyll grabs hold of that sunlight. Simple. Second, convert. That light energy gets transformed into a usable chemical energy, a molecule called ATP. And at the very same time, water molecules get ripped apart into hydrogen and oxygen. And third, create. The plant then uses all that stored chemical energy to mash the hydrogen together with carbon dioxide, and bam, it creates its food, glucose. Now, I just mentioned that thing called ATP. What on earth is that? Well, the easiest way to think of it is like a tiny rechargeable battery for the cell. It's the universal energy currency that all life uses to get stuff done. So in that second step, the plant is basically just using sunlight to charge up millions of these little ATP batteries. And this right here is a crucial point, a huge misconception a lot of people have. We tend to think the oxygen we breathe comes from the carbon dioxide that plants take in, but it doesn't. The oxygen is actually released when the plant splits water molecules apart back in step 2. It's essentially a waste product from the plant's point of view, a waste product that, luckily for us, we can't live without. So how is this all organized inside the factory? Well, steps 1 and 2, the capturing light and charging the ATP batteries part, that's all called the light reactions, and it happens in those little green discs. Step 3, the part where it uses that ATP energy to make sugar, is called the dark reaction. Now, this doesn't mean it happens at night. It just means that this part of the process doesn't directly need light to happen. And this final step takes place in that fluent surrounding the discs. Okay, wow, we have gone deep into the microscopic world of the chloroplast. So now let's zoom all the way back out and ask the biggest question of all. So what? Why does this one single chemical reaction matter so much? Well, to put it simply, our entire world runs on photosynthesis. It generates the oxygen that we need for every single breath. It's the foundation of pretty much every food chain you can think of. The energy in that banana you ate for breakfast, it started as sunlight captured by a leaf. It is the fundamental process that turns the sun's raw power into life itself. And in doing all that, it shapes our entire planet's atmosphere. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Every single year, plants and algae on this planet produce over 100 billion tons of sugar using this process. I mean, that is a staggering, almost unimaginable amount of energy captured from sunlight. It really makes you wonder, if this is the engine that powers the entire living world, what other hidden engines are out there, shaping the rest of our planet?